完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全だから美しい。
もうバカバカバカ。
何？
俺は海賊王になる。なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態。遅い。
Hello and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show you that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's also countless stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brendan White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, I'm here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is proudly powered by Audio Technica and Dash Water, so go upgrade your audio and hydration games today. And joining me on this journey is a returning guest who was last heard from on episode 11, where we spoke about the greatness that is Blue Lock. When he's not watching all of the anime, you can find him talking pop culture on the What Do You Think About This podcast. Find him on the socials at WDYTAT Pod. Anthony, welcome back to the Riverside Studio, my friend. How might you be doing?
I'm doing great, Brendan. Glad to be back on the show. Glad to be talking about some more new anime as well. I love the classics, but it's always nice to come to a new show and go, all right, what's going on? What's the newest thing that the world of anime can give us?
Yeah, and dude, we can't get any newer than this. Like, this is literally hot off the presses this morning. We'll talk about that anime in question very shortly, but yeah, we are tackling something that's been out in the wilderness for a handful of hours. So it's exciting to be going in both well and truly blind. There's only one episode out available to the public, and we'll be talking through that beat by beat shortly. But I thought we'd have a little bit of a reflection on 2023 first. Like, obviously, you joined me here on the podcast in May, and now we've shifted gears into 2024. So I wanted to ask you, man, what are your top 5 anime of 2023?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I mean, one of the tops easily, just because of how incredible like the animation and everything was got to be Jujutsu Kaisen season 2. I feel bad because I know that those mappa animators are not eating well.
Yeah.
But but it looks so good. But I feel so bad because animation industry in Japan is not up to snuff in most studios. But god damn it if those animators didn't put everything in every episode and just man, I just want more. That's the problem.
It's so special. Like, yeah, JJK season 2 is my favorite anime of 2023, and it's edged out some pretty tough competition because, yeah, even though you mentioned that animators at MAPPA aren't really eating very well, we certainly ate well as fans this past 12 months because there's been so many returning anime, also so many great debuting anime that came out last year that are just specials and must watches. So, to see JJK sort of land at the top of the precipice for a lot of anime fans is a testament to what they did at MAPPA, because yeah, it is gorgeous, it is heartbreaking, it is soul crushing, but it is also joyful and comedic at times. I love that they sort of jump between those tones very easily throughout that season. There is some heavy moments where you're just like, man, my feelings cannot take any more of a crushing right now, but yeah, we must persist.
It's a lot. A friend of mine, she hadn't seen Jujutsu Kaisen at all. So after the second season was done, we went back and watched like the first 3 episodes of season 1. I'm like, this is so quaint. This is so easygoing, and nothing's gone wrong yet. It's like, everything was so easy back in season 1. Season 2 is just a nightmare.
Yeah, it's insane, and I love that the stakes just keep getting raised in an anime, and you just get this sense that no one is safe. Like, I haven't read any of the manga, so I don't really know what's to come, but from people that have read it, they've always just said, like, strap in, you ain't seen nothing yet, and you go, what? Really?
Yeah.
I've seen nothing yet? Please help me.
Oh, no, it's very concerning because my wife and I, we watch it together, and she kept saying, this has got to be near the end of the show, right? And I looked it up, I'm like, we're not even halfway through where the manga is, so I don't know what the hell is going to happen next in this show. This might be one of the few times I read ahead. I'm not usually a read aheader anymore. I like to just like, I'll just watch it as it comes out, like get my content when I need it. I'm like, I think I need to read ahead. I need to know what's going to happen because,
I feel exactly the same. Like, I'm very impatient in most circumstances, but when it comes to content, it's especially like, I need it now, I want it now, I have to have it now. And I'm like, man, the animation is so great with Jujutsu Kaisen. Do I just wait to see that all realized on screen, or do I read the manga digitally or buy a physical copy? So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to jump ahead too, because I need to know what the hell happens from here, because yeah, this season just left my jaw on the floor and it's not ready to come back up yet.
No. Like, oh, it's... And this is as I often say, Mappa doesn't miss, and this is just another sign of they don't. That they push out such consistently high quality content. And God, I just because I know that like the Chainsaw Man movie's coming up soon. I'm like, oh, it's like they're just gonna keep feeding me. It's gonna be full of Mappa content before long. I was like, oh.
There's worse things you could be full of, that's for
true,
sure. So yeah, the people at Mappa, they do great work. Just maybe look after your staff a little bit better, higher ups, because it doesn't sound like a good time. Any other ones you wanted to shout out from 2023 that stood apart from the pack?
I'm just trying to think. I think we talked about it quickly before, but Attack on Titan's finally over. Even though it wasn't like a full season of anime, it was just 2 very long, very intense specials. But man, if that wasn't just a spectacular finish to one of my favorite shows of the last decade, I think with this now completely finished, completely done, it might be in my top 10 anime of the last decade, even though it's taken 2 decades to technically come out. It's technically come out in 2 separate decades, but in the last 10 years of content, it's just been such a crazy time as an Attack on Titan fan. The switching of studios, the way the story even switches up, and just all these different things that go on. Like, yeah, Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 3 and 4, I think they're called. Very strange name. Those were a highlight of my year. Spy X Family, while nothing ever amazing, is always good comfort food anime, I find. I kind of just sit down, I relax, I enjoy it. I'm like, that was nice and comfy. I'm just going to enjoy myself and just really just like soak in the good vibes of Spy Family. I'm trying to think of anything else. I was looking through a list, and I'm not sure how much I've actually kept up to date with this year outside of, like Blue Lock we watched earlier this year, which I quite enjoyed. And I'm trying to think of anything else I've kept up to date with. It's mostly, I think, been going through the backlog as always, because there's always stuff in the backlog, because you watch a good show eternal, one season, right? You miss out on 3 or 4 and you go, oh, hold on, got to go back.
It never ends. And yeah, I'm really happy with how they finished Attack on Titan up. I think they stuck the landing. The animation studio change was still jarring to me right up until the end, but it was still very pretty. Like Mappa, we talked about earlier, they just know what to do and make things work on screen better than most. So that was great. The story completion really hit in a whole heap of ways, and it's definitely must watch. Spy Family, for me, it finished really strongly the second season, but it really felt uneven and not the same to begin with, where I didn't find myself caring for the first maybe 5 or 6 episodes. I'm like, this is a bit of a chore, where season 1, I adored it. I obsessed over it, but it really built up. Once they got to sort of the whole cruise ship arc and all that stuff, I was in then and riding along with the family from there, because it was great right up until the end. But yeah, I found those first few episodes really difficult. But yeah, plenty to see and do. I was doing a recap over the weekend as far as all the new episode or new anime that I watched in 2023 that either debuted in 2023 or returned for a second season last year. And I found out, Anthony, that I've watched 103 different anime, not including the backlog stuff. So 103 newer returnings last year alone.
That's crazy. That's oh gosh, I need to step up my game. I thought I was doing all right. It's like, nah, I've missed out on too much, it seems. Oh.
Yeah, I need to maybe slow down a little bit too, because I was going through it and I went through and I've ranked them from 1 to 103, and yeah, it was a time, that's for sure. But yeah, the anime in question that we're going to be tackling today, I felt was a time. We've both gone and watched episode 1 twice before we've recorded today. And for listeners that are stopping by More Than Hentai for the first time, the way this podcast works is myself And Anthony here, we are going to be deep diving on the first episode of an anime that either one or neither of us have watched right now at time of recording. So we're going in with fresh eyes, with clear minds and clear opinions and thought processes. We're going to unpack the first episode front to back. So it's going to be full spoiler in episode 1, but we don't go anywhere beyond that. So we don't ruin overarching storylines, massive plot twists. And the great thing is we can't, because only episode 1 exists currently at time of recording. It's the 7th of January at 3:04 p.m. here in Australia right now. So yeah, this anime's been out for maybe 8 to 9 hours, I think, by the time it dropped on Crunchyroll for us here in the AU. But yeah, the title in focus for this week's podcast is Solo Leveling, also alternatively translated as Only I Level Up, which is a South Korean fantasy adventure web novel written by Chugong. It was serialized in Kakao's digital comic and fiction platform Kakao Page beginning on July 25th of 2016. A webtoon adaptation debuted in March of 2018 with a second season beginning in August of 2020. With a role-playing game and also a live action drama also in development, Solo Leveling has a mountain of hype currently behind it. And today, as I mentioned, being January 7th of 2024, the first episode of the Solo Leveling anime television series produced by A1 Pictures has officially debuted on Crunchyroll. Solo Leveling currently holds a score of 8.51 on my anime list based off 12,000 user reviews, and the story of Solo Leveling is as follows. The Gate emerged a decade ago, bridging reality with a magical realm, granting regular people extraordinary powers as hunters to battle monsters. Sung Jinwoo, a 20-year-old hunter labeled the world's weakest, struggles to support his ill mother by hunting low-level monsters due to his feeble abilities. Jinwoo's life takes a dramatic turn after a mission leaves him seemingly alone and near death. Awakening in a hospital, he encounters a mysterious floating screen, the quest log, tasking him with an arduous training regimen. Initially hesitant, Jinwoo realizes this quest might transform him into one of the world's most mightiest of hunters. So, Anthony, as I mentioned, we've both checked this thing out twice this morning, so it's fresh in our minds. We are pretty keen and clear as far as what Solo Leveling is potentially doing. It's funny because when I was putting my notes through this morning, it was 8.53 on my anime list, but there's been a couple of lesser than positive or lesser than 8 score reviews coming out since then, and now it's down to 8.51, which is still a pretty damn rock solid score on my anime list.
Oh yeah.
But man, where do you want to start with this on Solo Leveling? Because we're talking about the first episode, which is called I'm Used to It.
I guess always good to start with, I think, the positive, which I think, 8.5 is a pretty fair ranking for this, because I think that's where I'd put it as well. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good things in this. Animation across the board, very nice, very pretty looking, very consistent. That was what I was worried about. There's a particularly very nice action scene right at the beginning, and I thought, well, there goes the budget. I was expecting the rest of the episode to be a bit, as I call it, PowerPoint presentation, where it's just, all right, we ran out of budget. But no, there was only one moment where I noticed, I was like, all right, clearly that was this money-saving technique. But the rest of the episode, I didn't really notice a noticeable drop in animation quality. I felt it was very consistent overall, very nice looking, very clean. And I think you mentioned this somewhere on your Twitter. There's a great use of sound effects and music to really amplify the animation as well. It isn't just a pretty picture. They use a lot of small things to make everything like pop really nicely, and music comes in and swells at the right time, and the voice acting is very good as far as I can tell. I was like, yeah, these are all very good performers and performances I'm hearing. So yeah, just on that like base bare line level, a lot of really good to see so far.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, A1 Pictures, they do fantastic content. They've released some of my favorite anime of the last decade or so, some that we've talked about here on the podcast, like Darling in the Franxx they've done, Spy Family, My Dress Up Darling, Horimiya, and countless others that I obsess and adore over. So the character models, the scenes, the combat, it is all stunning. It is also horrific, which I like. They didn't hesitate on showing blood and violence and dismemberment, which I'm like, cool, I'm in. Anytime there's that jump in this fantasy realm where they don't hold back on a bit of bloodshed and a bit of violence and a bit of shock and awe, I'm like, cool, another checkbox for me as far as what I like to see as a viewer. So that worked well. Like you touched on, Anthony, I like their use of music and just tonal shift with some subtle sounds and combining that with some pretty damn solid vocal work that we could see. Like we both watched this on the subbed version. There isn't an English dub currently available. Crunchyroll, middle finger to you for the misdirect with the Hindi dub being there and not the English, but it'll come with time. But it was still a great watch. The voice work combined with the animation, combined with the story, which was very intriguing to me, combined with some cool fight and combat scenes, and then just in a nice tight package that had a good flow. I really like too that in this first episode, I feel they executed a ton of world building. Like I understood this universe, I understood the stakes, understood where all these people slot into. It didn't leave me with a lot of question marks as far as I don't get what's happening here. So I think it was really well executed in that 20 odd minutes. And they didn't waste any time with a couple of minute opening. It was just a cold open where it flashed back to 3 years ago, and we're seeing this random island in Asia. We're hearing a lot of gunfire. We're seeing like the Navy out on the ocean. And you feel like, what, have we got some type of sea battle going on? But we find out that the armed forces can't do diddly squat. They're just there as bystanders, really. And they're like, we can't do anything in these situations. We need to leave it to the hunters. And I'm like, ooh, okay, this is cool. I'm digging that they're already sort of showing this sort of power hierarchy in the world where armed forces that usually keep us all safe are just little piddly nothings in this world. And the hunters seem to be the power players.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think that was apart from the great animation and everything we've already discussed. You brought up the world building. I think that may have been my favorite part of the episode. I love just the way it sets it up where, as you say, like we see naval forces, usually a show of power in a lot of other things, we just have to stand back. We like nothing we do will work. And you see, the hunters, and we even see the hunters that are sent there, even they aren't perfect. There's some of these threats just you can't deal with them. And that's something that I really liked about this. I liked the idea of, it reminded me of kind of like gacha games where you'd get like an E rank character or a D rank or a C rank, and you're like, oh, but I need the S rank character because they're the best one. And I liked that it plays on that, where this is a literal system where you are assigned it through some sort of system. We kind of see it later in the episode where someone touches like a black orb, and I think it tells them their power rankings or something like that. So there's a ranking system, and as far as we can tell at the moment, there is no way to change that. You are just stuck that way. If you are an E rank, sorry, you're an E rank forever. If you're an S rank, congratulations, buddy, you're an S rank forever. There's no going up, and as far as we can tell, there's no going down unless you die. But I really like how that plays into kind of there's like a little bit of like celebrity culture played into later, where we see an S-rank hero tries to hide her appearance and doesn't want to get like mobbed by people, so she just like flees the scene after she helps someone. We also see there's like recruiting agencies where they're like, oh, you're a C rank, we'd love you to join our guild. And it's sort of like a celebrity like talent agency almost, or recruiting agency. There's also the sort of like class disparity as well, where middle class people, upper class and lower class, and how they're all kind of also fitting into the rankings, where we see once it exits that the flashback, we go to the present day. The way that a gate is treated is almost just like, for Australian viewers, a tradie job. Yeah. Where it's like, all right, show up. We need you and you and you. Yeah, can we get someone to handle this? Yeah, great. Like they're literally on a construction site with like rebar and all the scaffolding set up around it to stop the gate. There's a little like coffee truck giving out coffee to the people going in. One of the guys, I kind of loved it because it does kind of perfectly sum it up, where one of them's like, oh, I thought you quit. He's like, yeah, my wife had another kid, so I'm back here again. And it's just like, yeah, that's how this world works. If you're an adventurer and you do really well on a few quests, you're probably good for life. But yeah, if suddenly new finances come in, I've got to go back out there and get some more money. And we see that especially with the main character, Jinwoo Sung, right? That's how you say it?
Jinwoo Sung, yeah.
Jinwoo Sung, where he's the lowest of the lowest, as the show says. I think the worst hunter in the world, I think is the title he's given, or something like that.
Which just made my heart like bleed for him straight away. I'm like, man, I feel so bad because he's just seen as the the worst of the worst, and that's known like around everywhere. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's just Jinwoo. It's all good. He's just the trashest of trash, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
you poor little
Yeah,
fella,
no,
the weakest hunter of all mankind. And you're like, man, who wants that title?
Yeah, it's a pretty, and again, with the way the ranking system works, that's a definitive title. It's like, oh man, you aren't getting better. Like that's it. You suck. And we see that as well, where they explain, obviously, as your higher ranker, you can defeat higher rank monsters. You get more money out of it because you can sell the items they drop. Whereas Jinwoo, because he's so low rank, he literally can't get anything that's, he can only get the low rank
the E-rank
drops.
stuff,
Yeah, the E-rank drops, which aren't going to pay the bills, or if they are, they're not worth it for how life-threatening the whole exchange is. If it was at least a D or C rank, it'd be like, okay, I almost died, but hey, I can pay my mum's like hospital bills for like a month, like a few months, or help my sister get into college, which is another one of his goals. Where it's E-rank, it's like, this might pay for another weak knife that's going to break the next time you go into an encounter. I love that the ranking system in the Magic it says a lot about the world and how in the 10 years since it's been established, it's changed a lot of things and changed how people perceive the gates and the hunters who go in, and what their place in society is for like the government, these talent agencies, or just the general populace. I just think it's a very interesting world we're dropped into, and we get to see a lot of it throughout the episode. So yeah, kudos in that department easily.
Yeah, I love that. And it was drawing, like when I was watching it, I'm thinking, I'm getting a mixture of like Hunter x Hunter and My Hero Academia vibes as far as the class-based systems, the status that comes with being S rank, or, in one of the others, a high-ranking hero and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to really enjoy that they're fusing this fantasy world with modern society. And you can see that too in the open, where we're first introduced to these assortment of hunters when the Navy's like, yeah, we can't do anything. And the first wave of hunters, you go, oh, these guys are badass. They're dressed as traditional sort of fantasy type characters. There's your mage archetype. There's your knight archetype. And they're fighting this swarm of evil red ants. And they get overwhelmed really quickly, and they're getting ripped up and killed left and right. And then some S rank hunters rock up, and they're looking even cooler, and they've got better abilities, and you see how effortlessly they can sort of get rid of all these ants and whatnot. So you're starting to see all these power struggles play out in real time, and it's evidenced by just the look and feel plus their abilities and where they fit into society. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play as this season rolls out, because we got a good amount of sprinkling throughout this first episode to understand the levels that are at play here, as far as if you're E, yeah, you're trash, you're bottom feeder, you're in the bin, where if you're an S rank, you're in the penthouse, you're the celebrity, you're this god tier type of status. So I like that that's all established very quickly. So it made me feel familiar with the world, even though I only knew a small like percentage of what was at play here. So I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is great storytelling. And it picked up great because it set the tone. It showed that they weren't afraid to get violent and get visceral, and you're seeing people getting dismembered and ripped apart by ants, and there's blood flying everywhere. And that was very well animated in just not only from a death sense, but also when you're seeing some of these abilities, and you see one of these S-rank hunters sort of who's like a berserker, and he levels up, and you can see his body physically gets bigger, and his muscles start bulging even more, and he goes into Hulk mode almost. And it's kind of cool to see the differences between an E and an S, they weren't even an E, they were like a D level or something. That were fighting these ants, and you can see just the gap as far as ability and power and skill level. And you go, man, there's going to be some epic fights in this. I can see coming up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so it set the tone really, really cool. We see these guys fighting in one area of this island, fighting the ants. Then we also then get introduced to one of the guild masters, Guildmaster Choi, who's up on this bridge as another wave of ants are coming from another area on the island. And he wipes out a huge wave of ants with just a big fire blast. And we get one of those fantastic cliched glasses readjustments in between, which I always go horny for. And that really just sort of introduces to the world. And then it starts to give us a bit of voiceover work where it's saying, 10 years ago, a series of gates opened up linking our world to an alternative world. Bizarre creatures and magical beasts started coming through, and they were immune to conventional weaponry. So that's where you find out that, you know, the Navy and the Army and the Air Force and whatever else, they're useless because bullets and missiles and blades and whatever else are just nothing to these beasts. You're like, okay, that's why they've been sort of snuffed out as far as being a viable safety mechanism for the world. So I'm like, cool, I like this. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. It really, yeah, that's exactly. It's just, yeah, they show so clearly. It's just, this is the only way you can handle the threat, and yeah, the power systems and all that. It's really good. That's the part I like, which unfortunately this is going to get into my one kind of nitpick that does stop me from really loving this episode.
Okay.
And we'll probably get into it more as we get later into the episode's story and structure. I thought that because they spent because they used a lot of the episode to set up the world and help me understand the world. Like, now I know, well, not know the world, but I get the world. It makes sense. I kind of understand all the rules and how the systems will work with these rankings and this magic. I feel like I didn't have enough time to connect with a lot of the characters, especially our main one. Jinwoo, unfortunately, comes off to me a little, not bland, because I think there is signs of something there that will grow and become better. But because we just don't have a lot of time with him, because we've got to go, because almost every time we have a scene with him, it has to get cut off by something going on in the outside world where they explain another thing, or they show off something going on elsewhere in the world that needs to be established so that we can understand what's going on the next time we cut back to Jinwoo. It's that issue of, again, I understand what's going on. It makes perfect sense. It's just, I feel like I'm not connecting to anyone. There's another girl who, the healer girl, the rank B, Johi, thank you, who's hanging around with him. Seems very nice, but she also seems like almost forgettable waifu bait. Just like, all right, you're here just to be someone for Jinwoo to connect to early on. You have death flags written all over you. And I'm not kidding. The second she showed up and she was like, gosh, you're always getting yourself into trouble. I'm like, you're dead. You are dead. Like, not this episode, but you are dead in like 2 or 3 episodes. You are not lasting this whole series. You are not going to last, unfortunately, because you are the thing that is going to push the protagonist. He's going to see you die, feel bad about it, and then he's going to push himself to become better so that no one else dies again. And that's fine. It's a little cliche, but it's fine. It works. There's a reason people use that storyline. It works for protagonists. But it's the same with the group of all the other people he sees with him when he goes into his gate. I think the only character I can remember his name is Mr. Song, because
the raid
they keep saying it.
Yeah.
Because they keep saying it. But that's the thing, is like a bunch of them die, and they are just fodder to die in the start. Well, not a bunch. Only like 2 or 3, I think, die, and that's by the end of the episode. But a few of them die, and it's just fodder, unfortunately. So I get that it's a real threat, because if these guys are D rank, and he's E rank, oh, he's screwed. So I'm feeling the tension, but I don't care that like any of these characters died or anything happens to them, because I just don't have enough time with them to get to know them. I honestly wish this had dropped as a maybe 2-episode opening. I know that's not a common thing, I think, for a lot of Japanese shows, but I feel like if we had a 40-minute full story for the first 2 episodes, I might have been able to really get into it and really go, ooh, okay, where is this going? What's happening? As it is, I feel like I understand the world great. I'm getting a little like nothing from the characters, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there, because right now Jinwoo is just generic dark-haired protagonist number 12 that we've seen a million other times. It's the same character model. It feels like they copy-paste in 90% of anime of this ilk. So I totally get it. We don't get much backstory. We get some very fleeting explanations about what he's doing it for and why, and we understand where he's coming from with his family and stuff. But outside of that, we don't get much beyond the surface level of Jinwoo. And even, with Johei, we find out that, you can see that she clearly cares about him, and they've known each other for a while, whether that's just been through going on these sort of dungeon quests and things like that, or if there were friends outside of this, we don't know. We don't get anything like that. Even like just a couple of second flash of them as young kids where they're like, oh, always in trouble, seeing him hurt himself when he was a child. Like, okay, there's a connection there. This has been going on for many years, but who knows? So yeah, we don't get a ton of that. It's predominantly focused on that world build, which is good and bad. And just before we get to that very brief title card, and we sort of start going into the general societal dungeon crawls, which I'm all about, we find out that once that gate opened up a decade ago, people start awakening with abilities. So it just happens. They didn't really specify if it happens like when you become an adult in parentheses, or if you literally when you're born you've got them, or you hit maturity or puberty, it happens. It's just sort of saying people are awoken with abilities to fight the monsters, and they just call them hunters. And you're born or you're awoken with a skill level from E through to S, and you get what you get and you don't get upset. You can't level that sucker up. You can't train and get better. You are just typecast as that hunter class forever until you potentially die or you retire. So I'm like, cool. I like that. I like that we're not focusing on now then that, he's going to be the very best and work his way up from E to S. He's just the weakest hunter in the world, the weakest hunter of all mankind. You're like, all right, I can root for this guy. I can see he's an underdog, and I don't know how he's going to fight his way through all this being so weak, and he's got a blade that's made of paper, it feels like. But he's made it this far in life, potentially through Johei constantly healing him all the time, which she alludes to, because she's a B rank healer, so she's pretty good. She's good at what she does. Yeah, it's a cool start. And then I loved, you mentioned it too, just the casual nature of these guys rocking up to this dungeon or to enter this gate, and it's just shift work. Like, they're not all dressed up in armor and chainmail and stuff. They're in like hoodies and t-shirts and jeans, and they're having a coffee at the little coffee truck beforehand and talking about life. And I like that there's just this realness to it, this nothingness to it, where I'm like, this is cool because it makes it loosely relatable in a way where I could see this happening, in our lives if this was a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the idea of you just get accustomed to this new way of life, where, as you say, it's a bit unclear, how people get their powers. It's like, does it happen at a certain time? Does it awaken? Did it just awaken like 10 years ago? Like, how does that kind of work? It's a little vague, but it's not really important. But it's, the idea of after 10 years or however many years you've been doing this, you would become a bit like, okay, this is just what I do now. I have to clock in, clock out. I have to sell all this stuff, go kill a monster. And they also bring up, which is, I think, it adds to like the aspect of Jinwoo, is they say, if he's on a job, it's a breeze.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't let him just rock up if it was an actual dangerous job, because then they'd like be liable for his immediate death. It's like, you can't send this E rank guy on a C or B rank job because he will just die instantly. So they literally say, it's like, that's probably why a lot of them are just so casual about it. They're like, he's here, this is going to be a cakewalk. Why do we need armor? It's
that's it. I'll be home by lunchtime. Don't worry about it, wifey. Like, it'll be fine. All is good.
Exactly. It's I love that very just whatever about it.
Yeah, so it lulls them into this false sense of security, and then they all start walking through the gate, and then we sort of shift to another scene where we're introduced to Chairman Go, who is, I guess you could say, the chairman of the Hunter Association, and he's talking about the demand and the economy that ties into the dungeons, where there's this global demand for the resources that you get out of the dungeons and killing monsters and beasts. And high-level beasts drop what they call an essence stone, which is very, very, very valuable. And you're like, okay, all right. So there's this back-end government drive where the money that's generated from the stuff they harvest from killing these creatures keeps the world going, makes these rich get richer, no doubt. There's going to tie into the hierarchical system there where, the fat cats at the top that run these agencies and these guilds have probably got very, very well-lined pockets. But I like that we're sort of seeing that just ease its way into normal societies, where I'm like, if anyone can make $1 out of something, they're going to do it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's as you say, it reinforces that thing of, the rich get richer, because obviously your Joe Schmo D rank guy or even C rank guy probably can't clear a whole boss by himself that drops those very valuable essence stones, whereas that's kind of probably a job for the S and A ranks. So it's that again, it's that system that only the people who are already so good and so great are going to progress and earn more out of this, whereas the guys we kind of see doing the D rank dungeon job that we follow for most of the episode, yeah, they're probably not going to be making a lot, but they're just making enough to get by and be happy. And they don't know not that they don't know any better, but they can't aspire to more. They are literally ranked at a certain point, and it's like, well, you can't do better. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's minimum wage. That E and D rank, it feels like they're on the minimum wage. They're just earning enough to get by and maybe buy themselves something nice once in a while. So, yeah, it flashes then from Chairman Go back to the dungeon, and we see that Jinwoo, he's holding an Essence Stone, but it's only an E rank one, so it's worth 0.2 of nothing. And we've got this small goblin chasing him. Jinwoo tries to, I guess, show a little bit of heroism here, and he pulls out his trusty dagger, charges in, attempts to stab the goblin in the guts with the dagger. The blade breaks into a million pieces, and he instead gets a pretty nasty sort of stab right through the guts. So you're like, man, like, is this the end of our hero halfway through the episode? What is happening? But I like that it really conveys just how weak Jinwoo is compared to everyone else, because as he takes the stab, falls to the ground, one of the other hunters one-shots this goblin with his big axe, and you're seeing all the other hunters just out of shot fighting all these other beasties, and people are throwing fireballs and swinging blades, and like there's chaos everywhere, but they're kicking ass, where Jinwoo has just taken a gut shot from a little goblin. So you can see that, yeah, he really is the weakest hunter in all of mankind. So it's constantly re-emphasizing just how bottom of the barrel poor Jinwoo is.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, nothing really exemplifies it more than just, seeing him. He successfully kills one goblin after what seems like it was a bit of a struggle. You can see his clothes are ripped. I think he's already got a scratch mark on him already. And then, he just gets, his blade does nothing. He has to get saved by another guy. And the B rank healer has to help him. Like, she has to, because if she doesn't, he will die, because he's just that low rank, unfortunately. And it really does, I think it's a perfect way to show it's not for lack of trying. It's just he literally cannot do any better. He cannot buy better equipment, because he can't kill high level monsters, so he can't buy better equipment, so he can't kill high level monsters. It's that loop of he will never even get a little bit better, because he literally has no opportunity to like increase his status in any way. He can't increase it literally in the E rank system, and he can't even buy better gear because of how low he is. So he's just stuck basically hunting for scraps at this point. And I really like that.
He's a mouse on a wheel, and you feel for him, because he's just stuck in this eternal cycle, doing whatever he can to survive, to then fund his mother's treatment, his sister's impending arrival to college. His dad disappeared a handful of years ago. It was just sort of a throwaway line that we don't really know what, where, or how, and maybe that plays into the story later. Who knows? But he's doing it all for the family. He's stepped up to become the head of the household and do everything he can. So he's in here hustling and grinding and breaking daggers left, right, and center to make probably $12 for the day. So you feel for little Jinwoo. Johei starts healing him. The party's fighting on. Shifts back to Chairman Go again, and he's further expanding on these essence stones. And he references mana crystals, which is, I guess, the tier down from an essence stone. And that the world and government and various power players want to use these things as power sources, because it's going to be good for the environment, be more efficient. It's going to be the ideal clean energy source. So I like that Chairman Go seems to give a shit about global warming and stuff here. I'm like, that's a positive message. It's not just some dirty fossil fuel to line pockets further. They want to use these essence stones and mana crystals, the higher the rank, the better, obviously, to make the world a better place. I'm like, you know what? That's cool. There's some positive reinforcement here from you, Chairman Go.
I forget exactly how they explain it, but it's something where it's like it's safer than nuclear. It's more efficient than the Earth-related ones like aero, hydro, and geo thermal fuels. And then obviously it's not burning anything like fossil fuels, like you said. It's a perfect energy source. It's just that it requires hunting the magic beasts or the monsters. And that's another thing that plays into, again, that societal thing of it's like, so to like we have no idea how expensive it is to like make electricity out of the mana crystals. is it one of those things where a single crystal can work for like years, like a whole city? Or is it a thing where you're going to need to replenish that every day? So you're going to have hunters working over the clock to try and get this stuff. And I'm sure that's something the show will get into, because it seems like such an interesting idea where it'll further explain the idea of it's these like middle rank guys, not the high rank guys, who are doing the menial task of gathering just mana crystals, like doing as many jobs a day as you can just to get all those mana crystals to keep the city running. I think there is a lot that could be done there, and I'm really interested to see where the show goes. And it's like,
Yeah, there's some big questions there that I feel will be played out over the following episodes. I think this first season is going to be a 12-episode run from what I can gather. So there's a lot of world building and storytelling to come, which I'm excited about. And then, we shift back to the dungeon again. We find out that the raid party has killed the dungeon boss, or at least they assume it's the dungeon boss, which is a werewolf. They're all celebrating and they're happy, chest pumping and all that kind of stuff, as you do. But Johei's still upset and still very worried about Jinwoo, who's just constantly getting hurt. She's still healing his wounds. And like you said, Anthony, he's got lacerations from asshole to elbow from these goblins. And she's working a magic. And you can see she, like that B rank, you can see the ability that she has in her healing, because there's some pretty deep mortal wounds there. And she's using those abilities and close it up like nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting because we also saw what an S rank healer can do earlier in the episode, and we can already see just a little bit of the differences between ranks there, where the S rank hunter we saw earlier in the episode, he healed a large group of people that were getting attacked by the ants. The like D, maybe C rank fighters we saw earlier get destroyed by the ants. He just seems to like pull out his book, throw out a thing, and it seems to just miraculously heal these definitely mortal wounds on like a group of people, whereas she seems to have to focus all of her like attention just on like one target to heal their mortal wounds. So we already get an idea of like, there is a big difference between the ranks here, where S is only 2 ranks higher than B, and already it seems like there is a significant difference between what each rank can do. So again, it just kind of keeps selling up like these S ranks are insanely powerful like beings in this world. And just again, I'm so interested to see where all this goes, because there's a lot of ideas that set up. So I'm like, all right, what is that? Like, how does that work?
The gamer in me was smiling pretty big there, where we're seeing, so Juhei is just potentially restricted to single target healing, where you mentioned the S rank, it's just this AoE where it's just boom, and everyone in the vicinity of the spell or the ability is healed and feeling good again. So you can see just the gaps in ability and the gaps in potential performance in a potential life or death situation is going to play very big parts in the future. And then poor old Jinwoo with his E rank that can't really do anything. You don't see him use any abilities. All you just see him do is flail this busted ass dagger around, and that's about it. But he's got some fight, he's got some heart, and he's got some can-do attitude, and I respect the hell out of that. So as she's getting healed up, one of the other party members stumbles across a secondary cave entrance, and they're like, what? Like double dungeons? That's a rumor. Like, I've heard that out there in the streets, but no one's ever seen it. Like, what do? We get the raid leader, Mr. Song. He goes, when this happens, as per the hunter manual or whatever, we need to reach out to the Hunter Association for guidance. We're just going to wait here. But then tying back then into the societal tiers, where they're like, bro, like we've earned shit all money here. The crystals that we've earned isn't enough. It's not justifying the day's work here. Why don't we go in there to see what's happening? Spend the rules a little, Mr. Song. And so then he goes, well, we're gonna take it to a vote. We'll see what the majority says here, and then we'll decide accordingly from there. The vote ends in a tie of 6-6 with Jinwoo's vote to sway it. And that's where he goes into a really quick monologue where, his mum's terminally ill, his dad's gone missing, and his sister needs to go to college. So he's like, you know what? I'm rolling this dice. I need that cash. Go look after my family. I'm the swing vote. We're going in. And Juho before that, she's like, no, she doesn't want to be in there. I don't feel good about this. We shouldn't do it. But he's the swing vote to send them down into the depths of the unknown.
Yeah, it's, again, I love that this episode, I love the way it presents these societal pressures on them where Mr. Song is probably, he's the head of the guild or the head of the group, so he's trying to just do things like, I mean, the manual and all the rules, we really shouldn't be messing around with this, guys. Like, clearly trying to be like, yeah, I get it, guys. Like, we want to keep going, but like, I don't know. And then, majority rules there says, hey, but some of us have got mouths to feed. And like, we come back to that guy who's like, yeah, my wife got pregnant. Well, my wife got pregnant. Like, they're having another kid. And he's like, look, man, I got an extra mouth to feed. I kind of need that extra dosh. And so that's what leads them to go, yeah, let's give the vote. And Jinwoo swings the vote, and that's where we learn more about it. I think there's also a throwaway line which might explain why they're more like, oh, we need to go in there and get it now. There's something offhanded said about the gates close within a certain amount of time.
Oh, no,
so there must be nice.
Like, okay,
yeah, I feel like maybe I read it wrong. I just noticed it where it was like, they said, gosh, we've been walking through this tunnel for 40 minutes. And like, yeah, but these things last an hour. So we've got 20 more minutes to clear this room. So there's also potentially just a limit to it's again, the clocking in, clocking out thing of, all right, guys, got to get this job done in an hour. Let's go. Come on. We don't have time to waste. Which actually, and that may as well be why they wanted to, keep going. They finished the main dungeon so quickly. They're like, oh, we came all the way out here for this. Like, this isn't enough. We need to earn our keep.
They did allude to, though, too, that usually when you beat that boss, the dungeon, for all intents and purposes, closes down. And I don't know if that means they get spat out of the gate, just back to the entry point. But
it's a little vague.
Like, what does that mean? What happens here usually then?
Yeah, because that's what I wondered. Is like, it made me think about a few things where it's like, so what happens if you die? Does your corpse just get spat out? Like with everyone else, it's like, all right, guys, we're all here, and oh crap, John's dead. Wow. They're like, all right, come on, drag him away. It's like it's interesting because we don't see it, unfortunately, but it is a very interesting idea of. It's like they call it a raid, and it's literally like a raid in a video game where it's, all right, guys, the raid opens at 3, closes at 5. We've got to get in there in 2 hours and beat it. Come on, guys, let's go. And if you don't beat it in that 2 hours, well, you get kicked out. Sorry, too bad, so sad.
I like the weaving in of those video game concepts throughout this episode where it's like people that are familiar with those concepts that play these RPGs will feel right at home with what's going on and feel familiar, even if they aren't always explaining everything on screen.
Yeah. I think that's what I really liked. Again, I like the ranking system. I like the way it kind of deals with that. And yeah, it's a lot of video game terminology. I would be shocked if the author doesn't play a lot of these kind of video games like MMOs or other online games where it's a lot of ranking systems and raids and items that you need to, you kill a monster to get an item to sell to a guy to get an armor so you can kill that monster better to get more items to sell armor. Like there's a lot of like, it reminded me a little bit of like Monster Hunter where, you kill a monster, get the gem, you put that in your armor so you get better armor so you can kill that monster better. It reminded me a lot of those kind of games. And I think that it's very interesting to see that apply to like a real world scenario where, again, you treat it like a 9 to 5 or a shift work where it's just like, yeah, I got to do it. And I really like that. I think that, again, there's so much here to be explored. And I'm annoyed that it was only one episode because I'm just like, but where's the rest? I want the rest.
They gave us a lot to chew on this episode, but there's still so much more meat on that bone as far as the world building to come, which, excites me a lot. And so they're wandering through the dungeon, but before we get too much further into it, it then jumps to what you mentioned earlier in the episode, Anthony, where they jump to some form of like testing facility, or I guess where the people are, in parentheses, awoken with their abilities from there. And we're all new hunters. They're gauged and given their alphabet-based levels. And you can see them sort of touching this black orb to then generate a number for power that would then equate to E through S ranking. We don't really get any introductions to characters. We do hear some people within the building talking about, you know what, just if they've got that ranking, make them an offer. So you can see there's like talent scouts out there just trying to find these new up-and-coming hunters and sign them to their guilds and get them to be the next face of whatever the business or the brand is. So I kind of like that we're seeing that modern merging of society with that fantasy element again. We do get a bit of focus on two particular hunters. We don't get names, we don't get explanations, we don't get level ranks, but there's this girl in a hoodie, and then there's this other sort of redheaded boy that get a bit of airtime throughout these scenes in this facility. So I feel they're going to play a part at some stage later on. How?
Yeah.
Who knows? But we also then get a mention, and we get the full name basis of one of these S-ranked celebrity tier hunters. Hae-in Cha is her name. And then we're introduced to her pretty well straight away in this next scene where she stops a robbery where these two men on a scooter steal this woman's purse, and they're flying down this street. Chain does this pretty baller move where she does this big jump over them, grabs the handbag pretty effortlessly in this one motion, lands, knocks the would-be thieves down, hands the handbag back to the woman, and then everyone around them is like, oh my God, that's Hae-in Cha. That's the S rank. And like you alluded to right near the start of the episode, you see this celebrity craze and this mob start to appear where they want to get photos and autographs. And she's like, no, see ya. She bounces out because she doesn't want that life, clearly. And it's like, okay, cool. I can see where this modern celebrity obsession that we see in our lives transition into this anime really, really effortlessly in this scene.
Yeah. It was one of the scenes that, while it wasn't really part of the main story, I think was very important to establish kind of, again, how the world works, where you could see it's like she was not going out there with an intent to help this woman with her handbag problem. She's just walking down the street and she happens to help her. But because she's revealed who she is and like her cap falls off and everyone sees her, it's like, okay, I'm back to being a celebrity. I can't enjoy like a walk in the streets. I have to go back to celebrity mode. And then she ducks out. But yeah, going a little bit back, those two characters, we see them, I think 3 or 4 times throughout the episode. They just kind of either appear in the background, or in these scenes they get a bit more upfront with their designs, and we see them. It's like they're overly designed, or not overly designed, but they're more designed than the generic background character. So we know they're probably going to be someone we meet later on. Maybe they're someone who helps Jinwoo on his journey, or they're rivals to Jinwoo because they see someone who's gone from E rank to, growing up the ranks, and they're like, oh no, this guy's going up the ranks. We should try and do something. I don't know. But I like that, there's small hints to, this world, and like, okay, the talent agencies and how they pick people. And I love the line, I forget exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of age, sex, and all that doesn't matter as long as they got a good ranking. And it made me think, it's like, hypothetically, if a 50-year-old shows up with an A rank, you're not going to push them away because they're 50. You're going to go, oh shit, that's a 50-year-old A rank. We need to get them now, like before someone else scouts them. And I like that idea of, age, sex, all that. It's irrelevant because the score at the end of the day is the thing that's going to determine whether they're like worth your time or investment as a talent scout or a recruitment agency. And it's like, okay, that adds a little bit more social commentary as well with, how people are perceived by the public, what their values are and all that. And I don't know, again, just, I love world building. Just, every time I think about it, I'm just like, this is such good world building. It really sets up what's going on so well.
It's one of the strongest first episodes that I can think that I've watched in a good long while. It executes everything to such a high degree throughout this 20 odd minutes. And the world building is, certainly the cherry on top, because it just eases you through and it holds your hand very gently through all this stuff, where it's just giving you little breadcrumbs here, a little sprinkling there, as far as talking about the Hunter Association, the rankings, society as a whole. And I like that it is very much an inverse of what society is for us here in the real world, where it's all about gender, it's all about sex, it's all about that visual appeal, where in this it's the complete opposite. It's like, no, your hunter rank is everything. We don't care if you look like a foot. If you're an A or an S rank, you are good to go, and you're welcome to do the best you can for us, as opposed to, no, that guy's the hottest, or she's the sexiest, or that's the demo we're looking for. It doesn't matter. It's all about that ranking, which that's cool. That's some positive social influence there in comparison to what happens here in the real world. It reminded me sort of One Punch Man, where that kind of obviously does the inverse, where Saitama is the strongest person on the planet, but he's so low ranking because
No one cares who he is. He isn't like a very flashy, exciting hero because, he beats people in one punch. It's not very exciting. It actually, I'm not going to spend much time on One Punch Man. I do love that show, but I liked how it was kind of an inverse of that. Of no, it's your strength is 100% what matters. If you aren't like the S or A ranks, like not that you're not worth our time, but like you are not the pinnacle. We need you to be the strongest because you're going to be the one who gets us like, you can handle the strongest monsters, but you can also gather the best materials from those strong monsters, which we need for, energy, as we find out. It's like, the ranking system plays such a crucial part in how the society has been built now that without it, it doesn't work. You need these systems. And again, so interested to see where this goes.
One thing I enjoyed too, directly off the back of what we've just been saying, I like that we only met a very small handful of female characters in this episode, but no one was hypersexualized. There was no unnecessary busts hanging out and whatever else, because a lot of these anime, they love to lean into those tropes and have those awkward moments and have the siren as the lead and all that. But everyone here is subdued. Like Juhei, the healer, she's just in normal clothing, and like if she wasn't, that's still fine as well. But like they didn't lean into any of that where they're like, here's the siren love interest, here's the sexy, dumb trope archetype that we need to put in there. Like everyone that we're meeting seems to be fleshed out and real. And I'm like, what, this is cool. Like this is really well done.
Yeah, because even in some of my favorite shows, they lean into that sometimes way too hard. I'm just like, okay, I've got to get through this. There's a good show at the end of this. But I'm glad, there wasn't, at least in the first episode, there wasn't any, like, honestly, if this was maybe not any other show, but there are a lot of shows where, like, while he's getting healed, Jiwoo's might have looked up her skirt or might have accidentally rubbed against her leg or some other shit where it's like, okay, great. All right, awesome. Can we move on, please? I'm just glad it was like, no, he's, she is a friend and they are helping each other, and there's no need to add unnecessary sexual moments that don't make sense for either character or don't really add anything to the story. Yeah, I'm glad that like a show can just like present characters and not have to add like a weird moment where someone lands on the other's private parts or lands on their chest. It's like, great, thank you. Can we? The less of that I think in anime, the better. I just it always takes me out and goes, right, this is certain people watch these shows, right? I forget that there's an audience that needs to be catered to. Got it.
Yeah, the lack of fan service and sort of ichi vibe going on in this anime, at least in the first episode. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 11. We could
who
be
knows?
eating crow on episode 2. Who knows? But right now, it feels like that's very far from what Chugong wanted to do here with solo leveling. So I'm all about that. And yeah, so we get a few scenes intercut jumping back between the dungeon and this test facility. Find out that there is a bit of a potential love interest vibe going on here where Johei, she's very pissed at Jinwoo, who's constantly hurting himself, constantly getting into trouble. And she's goes in a roundabout kind of way asking him to ask her on a date where she's like, take me out for a meal sometime because I'm constantly saving you and healing you. It's the least you can do. So I'm like, all right, like, I'm a sucker for romance in anything. So the way they weaved it in, it didn't feel too forced here. They didn't hammer it home. They didn't go into any awkward moments, like you said, where there's a weird skin-to-skin touch or he sees down her shirt unexpectedly while she's healing. Like, it was all very wholesome and organic, which I'm like, this is cool. This is great. But then they contrast this really quickly with the party arriving at this giant, very ominous door in the dungeon. But then we jump back to Chairman Go and we're getting some more wordage because the would-be hunters are watching their induction videos and all that kind of stuff. And there's a line in there where he's like, to the newly awakened, heed this advice, please be afraid. And you're like, okay, that line hits harder than most throughout this entire episode, because I'm like, you know what? They're not going, hunter life is glamorous and it's a life of luxury and you're going to be famous and earn all this money. The fact that they've grounded it in this high stakes line of just please be afraid from the chairman right down to the floor cleaner that works in the Hunter Association, like there's a real chance of damage and death happening to you any given day. And I'm like, cool, okay. The tone is set, the stakes are set. I mean, that line there really, really got me.
Yeah, I 100% agree. When my wife and I were watching it, we both went like, oh, okay, yeah. Because this kind of goes a little bit, we've been discussing it all episode, but it's that, not complacency, but when society got adjusted to the idea of like, you go in a dungeon, you kill things. It's like, no, you're fighting monsters. There's a very real chance of death here. Don't get complacent. Don't get adjusted to it where you're just like, whatever. I like that. Yeah, there was it gave me like, the Alien be very afraid vibes of just like, ooh, like, yeah, no, you really want to emphasize this isn't Starship Troopers, I'm doing my part. It's no, you could die. In fact, you might die. It's like there's a very real chance that you could die out there. Do not like take these monsters for granted. Do not just see it as a way to earn money, a way to push up your social status or whatever. Like this, you are fighting for your life, and you never want to get too used to it. You never want to just go, I can handle this. And that's kind of what we see where this group of D rank hunters have said, oh, yeah, we can handle an extra dungeon. Let's go and see what it is without any proper precaution or preparation, which may have helped them from what is probably coming next. Ooh.
Yeah, there's so much foreshadowing in these scenes, just sort of going back to back with walking to that big giant door, and just the way that shot's framed where all the hunters are like, because it's such a wide shot, they're seen as tiny. So the sense of scale that they're just tiny little ants in this situation. And I like that it sort of throws back to the start with the hunters killing the ants right at the rip. So there's this cool contrast there with that. Please be afraid, heed the chairman's advice. And then it jumps back to the dungeon. They go in through this giant ass door, and you can see there's some discussion between the hunters, and they're like, I've never seen a dungeon like this before. Where the hell are we? And it's this massive, big, giant room. There's giant statues all around, very, very imposing, very highly detailed, and very cool. Like, it's such a cool scene and such a cool part of this dungeon. And then we get Mr. Song, the raid leader. He sort of noticed something on the ground. He's like, what's going on here? Like, there's a magic circle and ancient text. Like, where the Christ have we stumbled into? And he starts reading this ancient text as Juhei and Jinwoo are sort of talking, and there's some panic starting to set in with Juhei. But there's some cool wording here from the raid leader where he's like, the commandments of the Kartanon Temple: first, revere God; second, praise God; third, prove your faith in God. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave here alive. And you're like, oh, goodness gracious. And we're starting to hear a lot of ominous sounds scale up. The tension's building here. The door slams shut as, Juhei's telling Jinwoo, the one most imposing statue of them all, this big giant-ass statue, she's like, I saw the giant statue's eyes move. And you're like, oh, what's happening here? All is not right in this world. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Yeah, it's not looking good. It was a very tense scene. I think it really did sell going, especially after, the be afraid line. It's like, yeah, it really does sell just like, oh, this is unknown territory for a lot of them. And it's such a sharp contrast to just the kind of barren tunnel we saw earlier, where it's like, this is a ornate, very clearly built, like, temple, maybe? We're not sure yet. But there's big statues with some of them humanoid, some of them just not really identifiable. And yeah, the commandments, as he's reading them, you realize like, oh, yeah, they're in very real danger right now. This could go very poorly for a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a great scene, and it just builds up, and then it crescendos with the door slamming shut. And then one of the hunters, who's just in a casual like Adidas tracksuit, which I cackled about, he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
To hell with this. This is too hectic for me. I'm going home and watching the footy, sort of thing. And he starts walking towards the doors to try and push his way out. But one of those statues then comes to life, and it's this really cool, foreboding knight statue. It almost looked like one of the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings with the headpiece. It was some really cool vibes there. and in this one movement swings this giant ass axe and cuts this dude in half. And it's a mess, like it's a messy, very clean cut, but like pretty much from hip all the way up across the neck, sort of cutting him semi-vertically, and blood splatters everywhere. It's a gorgeously animated scene, but it's also really horrific. And I'm like, ooh, baby, we're building up here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, exactly. I love it. Like, it's just, yeah, you can kind of see it coming because, you know, like, okay, it's like, all right, he's walking away, something's happening. And yeah, just suddenly it's like, all right, kills him. And what I like is it doesn't attack the rest of them because they haven't done anything wrong yet. It just kind of returns to its standing position with the axe. But obviously everyone's shitting themselves going, oh, we can't. Oh, okay. He tried to leave. He's dead now. Okay. This isn't good. And I think it's Jinwoo drops the line of, was that guy, he was a D rank. Well, either way, he's higher ranked than me and he just got one shot. Oh no. Like, oh no. I am out of my depth now, officially. I am too far.
Yeah. Send help. We should have listened to Mr. Song and just waited for the Hunters Association to roll in, but too little too late right now. And yeah, you can see the panic starting to set in across the whole party. They're all just melting down. They're freaking out. You can see the despair on Jinwoo's face. Like there's a couple of really tight shots of just his face or just his eyes, and you can see that yeah, he's falling apart here. He's not really sure what's going on. And then he's having a bit of a reflection on his life and his role as a hunter. And there's a line where he's like, I've stood on the precipice of death many times. I'm always struggling. And you can see that he's just constantly scratching and clawing his way through life to survive and just get those tiny crumbs or those scraps to sort of support his family however he can. And yeah, he's realizing that all hope is lost in this moment because yeah, he's an E rank. This D rank just got one shot like he was a fly, like it was nothing. In this moment, I'm assuming this ties into the commandments of the temple, where I guess that hunter, when he tried to leave, he proved that he had no faith in this god in this room. So like, you know what? We're going to smite you then, little man. Whack. And so I'm like, okay, that ties directly into what Mr. Song said with the commandments. But then we can see pretty quickly that, Jinwoo and the statue that Johei mentioned could see the eyes move earlier. They have this moment where they sort of have a very quick eye lock, but you can see what's happening with this statue starting to build up to some type of crazy ass ability. Jinwoo, through his need to, I guess, scratch and claw through life, maybe has a bit of a tactical mind where he's constantly just trying to think outside the box to survive, realizes what's going on, yells out to everybody, get down, because this statue just God rays through this area, like burns through the ground, disintegrates a couple of these hunters like they were nothing, just turns them into dust and bone, which further creates more chaos and anarchy in the party. They're all melting down. They're freaking out even more. There's tears. And we then realize through another little bit of inner monologue of Jinwoo, where he's like, we're trapped, we're done for, we're dead, we're going to die. And then we get this really tight shot in his eyes as he's sort of thinking these thoughts, and then cut to credits. And you're like, damn, what's going on here?
It was, I could feel it coming because I was like, we've been sitting here for about 22 minutes. This is going to be the end of the episode, isn't it? It's like, damn it. I was really like, it was the only thing I was like, I really want to know where this ends. And that's why I was praying for a 2-episode release at that point, where it's like, how does it end though? How does he get out? Or does he get out? What happens? I need to know. But you hit on something there that I loved about Jinwoo, where they actually use the fact that he isn't very skilled in terms of his magical abilities or however the abilities work in this world. He isn't very highly ranked, and so that means he's had to survive a lot. So he has these survival instincts. He knows when something's about to attack. He knows when danger's present. So he sees the eyes light up. He goes, oh, that's bad. Everyone duck. And then, unfortunately, some people didn't hear him. I think 2 or 3 people just get like obliterated. It's like you see the flesh rip off the bones, and then the bones disintegrate afterwards. Like the only thing that's left is like a scorched, I think, part of a hand that just managed to just like escape the death ray, I guess. But it truly does just, it puts that fear of God in them, of just they are out of their depth. This is kind, and I like that because again it plays into the complacency thing of you need to be afraid. It's like they don't realize there is like insane power out there that's come into their world, and they have not respected it in a way. They've not truly realized like, oh, this is not in our control. We aren't in charge. There is at this point now something much greater at work, and it could kill us all. And again, I just want more. I want to know where this is going to go. I'm so excited for an episode 2. I think I'm gripped for the rest of the season, unless it drops me halfway through. I kind of doubt it, because I think we've already got the great world building. Now we just need to work on the characters, and as long as it does that, hey, I'm good. This is probably looking to be the highlight of the season for me, I think. Just, yeah.
I'm with you, man. Like, it hooked me. This first episode was so well paced. It was so well written. The world building was some of the best I can remember in a first episode of anime for a long, long time. And the tone was exactly what I was looking for. The animation from A1, top tier. The soundtrack from Hiroyuki Sawano, phenomenal. Yes. And yeah, I'm hooked. I'm just, like you, upset that why didn't you like double or triple drop this thing? Give me 2 or 3 episodes to chew on right off the rip so I can just feel it in its entirety instead of this first episode, which left me hanging, but in a good way, because I'm like, I need more. I want more. I get the hype because people have been thirsting for solo leveling for years. And I get the hype after this first episode. I'm like, I understand why people were so hungry and horny for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I kind of heard being talked about a few years ago when it like first dropped or was first starting to get really popular in like the West, where it was like, oh, solo leveling is this great Korean manhwa or webcomic. You got to read it. And I kind of went, sure, I'll check it out later. And never did because I was like, I don't know. Like, I hadn't really heard anything about it that gripped me yet. It was just like, oh, it's about this guy who levels up. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't really sell me on what the series is actually about, which is this great world building about the magic system and the ranking and again, all this social commentary or just interesting ideas about how the world changes when you introduce something like that. It's like, this is all incredibly interesting, and I really want more. And I think if this show is successful, I'm hoping it kind of opens the door for more like interesting like anime, well, not anime, but like kind of shows with a little bit off the beaten path. Because how do I say this? I guess when I first heard the name Solo Leveling, I assumed this was an isekai.
Me too.
And I was now you enjoy isekais. Unfortunately, I do not. Isekai hater over here, not a fan. Maybe liked 3 in my life. But the animation and some of the things that was shown in the trailer, I was like, all right, I'll at least give it a go. And when it wasn't an isekai, it's kind of a reverse isekai in a way, which I don't know if there's a lot of those, where it's just like the video game or the fantasy element is brought to the real world, and the real world is what changes. It's not, oh, a human character goes to a fantasy world and changes the fantasy world. It's no. The fantasy world is coming here and it's changing how the real world works. And I think that's I don't know, that's just infinitely more interesting to me, because you can actually, as we've talked about in this episode, you can touch on things like celebrity culture, the separate like class issues and just all these other things that, if you introduce fantasy elements, or in this case, like video game fantasy elements, it changes the way things work. Things can't be the same anymore. You have to adapt. And I think that's just really interesting. And God, again, I've said it probably a billion times this episode, but I just want to see more to know, where is this going and what are they going to do with it? And
I'm very, very excited for the next 11 episodes. And I like that you mentioned reverse isekai, because the only other one that I can think that immediately stands out would be Gate, which does it also very well, where they weave in that fantasy and drop it into a real world setting as opposed to the inverse. So there's some similar beats there in that regard. But this first episode, hooked me. I'm excited to learn more about Jinwoo and more about some of these other characters, because it was very surface level introductions to some of these characters. Some of them we didn't even get names, like those two that they showed a lot at the Hunter Academy. Who are they? What do they do? Where do they fit in? But who knows? We'll probably get more of that soon. Yeah, I assume they would be.
Because exactly. It's like, well, I hope they're important because like you showed them off a few times. I'm assuming they're important. Otherwise, why were they there? But yeah, it's how do you say? It's just it's very interesting, and I am interested to see. I have probably said it I'm so curious because I feel like there is a lot you could do in this world, and just seeing how the characters evolve and adapt to it, because I think that's such an interesting concept as well of if bloody hell, blanking, sorry, but if you take a world where people can't level up, so to speak, and get better rankings, you only have Jinwoo, the lowest of the low, probably climbing the ladder. How does that affect social structures? Because you suddenly have this, he gets to cheat the system, essentially. He's cheating the system. He's rising up when that's not how that's supposed to work. And there's a lot I think you could say with that, and a lot of just I think, again, as you mentioned, like cool stuff, like the fights. Like I want to see like Jinwoo get better, and like his combat like go up, and how he like approaches situations, because like he's a bit of a survivalist, or he's at the very least tactical about how he fights. So like if he gets better at fighting, like what happens then? Does he just become like a god? Is he just unstoppable because suddenly the guy who knows how to protect himself becomes the guy who can also just decimate his opponents and get stronger each time he does? That's like, that's so just what is going to happen in here?
It excites me a lot because I think it's going to play out in two ways for Jinwoo, where, he does skirt the system in a way and he manages to level up. Like some people will adore him and he'll become the next big thing, but then others will hate him and despise him for getting better somehow. It's like, how dare you? Like, you're a cheat. You can't be trusted. You're a bad dude. So there's going to be this real stark contrast, I think, with society when he does start to level up and progress, where some people will embrace it and like get the hard eyes for him and the super fans, and the other ones will become enemies and just hate him for it. So I'm excited to see that play out, because they took a lot of time to emphasize the levels and the hierarchy and the status, and it is what it is and nothing ever changes. When he comes in and he's the squeaky wheel, things are going to change in a big way, and it's going to disrupt this entire world, I think.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting if, like, given the name of the series, I kind of doubt it, but maybe there are other people who start to like level up, or maybe we learned that one of the S ranks was someone who leveled up or something. Who knows? Like now that now that the concepts are in place, it's just a matter of, okay, how do we want to play with them? How do we want to talk about like, is he the only person who can level up? Is there someone who has already done it but just didn't reveal himself until it was right or something? Like, who knows? Like, I'm just so interested because there is now, like I said, the concepts are in play. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for more, and I'm excited to see the opening as well, because
yes,
we get the song. They use the opening song "Level" by Sawana Hirayuko in the ending, so we don't actually see a proper ending or a proper opening. So we're going to get those sexy visual feasts bookending this episode 2 next week as well, which is also going to be great because it'll give us some more storytelling and introduce some other characters as they like to in those openings as well, and leave me with a lot of questions, no doubt.
Absolutely, yeah. That's and I understand why some anime do this. It's like when they don't do the opening or the ending, I'm like, all right, cool, but like I do like those. I do like being able to comment on an opening and an ending, and here I'm just like, it was a very good song, Hiroyuki Sawada. He does good work.
Yeah,
it's like, but visuals, what's happening?
Yeah. I need more of that. So yeah, A1, please don't leave us hanging for episode 2 and beyond. But man, what is your favorite scene or favorite moment in this first episode of Solo Leveling? Have you got one that stands out above the rest?
I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I think it is just the it's the cutting back and forth that eventually ends in the be afraid. I liked at first when I first watched it, I was a little like, this is a bit weird. Like we keep cutting back and forth, but on the second viewing, I was like, okay, no, hold on. There is a little bit more interconnectivity at play. We're seeing how the lessons that the group we're watching, they haven't taken in what's being said by the Hunter Association, and that's why they stress it. It's like, be afraid. And really that, again, it set the tone. It paid off like what we've been kind of building to the whole episode at this point, like how the society works and how that changes people and how that affects things. I think honestly that is the best scene because it really it sold me on the show, I think, more than anything. There was the amazing fight scene, there was some good banter back and forth with some of the characters that helped build the world, but that really told me this is like the world and this is why it's dangerous. And I'm like, good, that's it, that's what I need, that's the hook, thank you.
Yeah, perfectly said. I think just not a favorite scene or a favorite moment, but I just think the world building as a whole here is really, really expertly done, and it feels living and breathing and realized, and there's dirtiness to it and like societal levels to it, and I like that they've sort of really addressed that structure right off the rip here, so we can understand where these characters slot in right now and where they may slot in down the line, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with our boy Jinwoo down the line, and I hope Johei has survived beyond this episode and more, because I wouldn't be sad if they sort of weave in a constant bit of romance and love interest action into this too, because love is great.
Here's the thing: if somehow the death flags are wrong, I'll be like, all right, good job, show. You didn't kill her for obvious reasons. And honestly, I mean, if she stays alive, I think that's more interesting. I think there is something that's interesting to be said there of, she's the one, as we've talked about, she was helping him, healing him, all that. Suddenly he goes from the E rank, like, oh, I need to help him. He keeps getting hurt. Like, why won't he listen to me? To the A, like, I doubt he'll become this high by the end of the season, but maybe like a C rank guy. Like he's already better than her. And it's like, oh, hold on. Our relationship dynamic is completely different now. You can handle yourself. Like, do you still need me? Or is like, do you need me at all? Like, did you ever need me? And it's like, I think if she stays around and they do build the romance or even the friendship, if they choose not to go romance, but I think there is an interesting angle there of she's been helping him this entire time. What happens when suddenly he's stronger than her or he's more capable than her now that he's no longer limited by his rank? It's like there's, again, ideas, so many good ideas that need to be played with and just
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm curious to see how high in slots in. Obviously, the S rank celebrity powerhouse that we don't see her do anything from a combat perspective apart from thwart a couple of no good criminals. But I hope they maybe avoid connecting her with Jinwoo as potential love interest. Like, do they become the power couple because they're a couple of S rankers and they're just bad bitches? Like, I hope not. But the way they've sort of paced this first episode, Nagashige, who's directing this series, it feels like he knows what he's doing, and what Chugong has done with obviously the source material, I feel that what we're getting in this first episode is going to be consistent. We're not going to go off rails, hopefully, touch wood right now, and we get this same quality storytelling and pacing and same, narrative sort of unveil over the next other 11 episodes. Because I am keen as a bean, Anthony. I'm keen as a bean.
Keen. I'm so again, I've already said it a billion times, but so keen to see where this goes now, especially after talking about it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am in now. I want to know where this goes.
All right, well, I don't need to ask you if you're going to continue to watch, because I think we've just addressed that several times over.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask you the last word, which is presented by our friends over at Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops, courtesy of japancrate.com. And while you're there, be sure to use code 8bit15 at checkout to get yourself 15% off and free shipping anywhere on planet Earth. Just sadly not into any dungeon-based gates. But Anthony, what is your last word or series of words on Solo Leveling?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I like that. I and be excited, be hyped, because
I mean, yes.
yeah, this could become the next big thing. It feels like it's going to break out in a big way.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just spoiled. Like going from JJK and Freerun and Attack on Titan and Spy Family and Oshinoko and a million other anime from last year, going straight from that into this. I'm like, man, it's a good time to be an anime fan. But
absolutely.
Dude, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio for a second time around. Quick bit of time to throw your way to share anything that you've got coming up. Where can people find you? Maybe you can share about the latest episode you dropped on your podcast, talking about the state of superhero films. Where do you want to take this journey?
So as Brendan mentioned earlier, and also thank you, Brendan, for having me on the show. I love being on other people's podcasts, talking about stuff. It's always great to have a good chat with someone. But yeah, you can find everything me and my friend Jaden do over at What Do You Think About This Podcast? That's WDYTAT Pod on Twitter. We did drop on Christmas. We dropped it on Christmas. It was our Christmas gift to you. The latest episode of the podcast, talking about the state of superhero movies, because it's been a bit of a turbulent year for superhero movies. If you've managed to keep up, I know it's been difficult. It's not great. We kind of talk about that. Hopefully, we'll have another episode out for you maybe by February. I don't think we'll have time to get it in January just because we're going to be talking about the movies of 2023. And unfortunately, some of those movies didn't come out until 2024 in Australia. I'm still waiting on like 3 movies to come out this week that I've already heard banging reviews about in America. Everyone's like, oh yeah, did you catch that great movie that came out in December? It's like, yeah, it was great. And I'm just here, no, I didn't, because it's coming out middle of January for some reason. Just,
What year is it again? Like, we were on the same calendar cycle with America for a good long while, but it feels like we've slipped back again. And these slippages are a major pain in the ass.
Oh, it always happens at the end of the year. It's the same with December movies always get pushed to Boxing Day, but if they're not big enough movies, they get pushed even further back. And so you end up just, okay, the best movie of 2023 didn't come out until January 15th, 2024 in Australia. Good to know.
What's that movie? Minor spoilers, but what's that movie?
It's not, I don't know if it's the best movie, but I've heard amazing things about The Holdovers, and that was a Christmas movie. It's not coming out until, again, the middle of January in Australia. So you're not going to get the people like, oh, let's go watch a Christmas movie at Christmas time. It's like, no, it's Christmas time's over. We missed it. You missed the boat.
It's so dumb.
No one's going to see it, but not as many people are going to see it as they would have if it was relevant.
Be better, Australia.
Enough of my whinging and bitching.
Be better. But for listeners all over the globe, touching wood, because I haven't seen, just in maybe there is some delays on a few regions, you can check out Solo Leveling on Crunchyroll just about everywhere, no matter where you are. So give that a peek. It is a weekly singular episode drop between now and back end of March, if my maths are correct. I don't know.
Something like that.
Somewhere around there. But 12 episodes in this first run. Looks good, sounds good, feels good, is good.
Yes.
Cannot wait for more of it. But
yeah,
be sure to follow myself on the socials at Brendan8bit. Be sure to check out all the things we do over at videogamesandculture.com. You want to get some merch, you can do so over at shop8bit.net. But be sure to rate, review, subscribe this podcast and all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular, because those ratings and reviews, they take no time, they cost you no money, but it's just good karma. So pay that stuff forward where you can. Whether your anime be subbed, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all of the gorgeous waifus out there. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.